I love the panic that is happening now with some Dolphins because, folks, we haven't even played one preseason game. I get it. There's a couple of receivers injured. Yesterday in practice, you've got Beagle, Parker, Will Fuller, Albert Wilson, Brandon Jones, Hunter Long, Eichenberg, and Neto, right? And obviously a couple guys that you would like to see, and unfortunately they're not there, right? But relax, man. This is all part of the process. Guys are going to get banged up. Other guys have to step up. The beauty is that while Neto is out, while Eichenberg is out, well, then Solomon Kinley will get the play. It's not like Solomon Kinley has arrived. Solomon Kinley needs experience. He needs to grow. And I got to tell you something, watching him in his press conference, and since he's been here since last year, he is one of the most likable dudes that I've seen on this team. And I'm rooting for him. I'm hoping that he, figures it out. And this is a great opportunity for him. And that's the beauty of it. Tomorrow at 1:00, I want to see what Mac Hollins does. I want to see, we talk about depth for the Miami Dolphins. And that's the beauty of all of this. Now, we're going to start seeing what kind of depth you have. Not just what kind of, yes, we know that there are certain guys here that are missing that could end up being starters, Parker. But I told you this, do I really need to see Devontae Parker? Not really. I only need him to get a little bit of playing time, keep him healthy for the start of the regular season. Will Fuller, outside of the timing stuff with Tua, but I think Tua's one of those cats that look, I've always talked about this when it comes to quarterbacks. And I always use this analogy, and I think it's a very good one. When you go to the park and you go play with your friends, right, and there's 8 of you or 10 of you, it's hard to find 2 quarterbacks among 8 or 10, right? Usually the 2 best arms that are picked to be the quarterbacks, and then those guys are picking the teams, you're praying to be usually on one team because one guy's better than the other as a quarterback. You know why? Because when you start playing with strangers or kids you've never played with, then all of a sudden you got to adjust quickly and got to have better touch and timing and all that, right? Well, the guy that can adjust faster is the guy that becomes the better quarterback. And I think Tua is that kind of guy. So Will Fuller, for me, doesn't have to necessarily play a lot in the preseason. Just get him enough playing time and get him healthy enough to start the regular season, right? Albert Wilson. Albert Wilson's had his share of injuries, and while he was playing well, now he's injured again. So it kind of shows you there's a question on reliability also with Albert Wilson. You know what I mean? And then Brandon Jones, I love Brandon Jones. See, that's a young guy. That's the guy now that I'm really worried about. Vince Beagle knows what he's doing. Parker knows what he's doing. Fuller knows what he's doing. And Albert Wilson has experience. Brandon Jones is the guy that I want to see. That one I'm a little bitter about because he's young. I like him a lot. He's got a knack for being around the football, but he's green still, and he's got to learn. That guy, it bothers me a little bit that he doesn't get to play. Hunter Long, wanted to see him play because they were going to give him more time than giving Gesicki time so he can get ready for the regular season. Eichenberg, obviously a guy we want to see. Neto, another guy that was battling for a guard spot, another guy you want to see. So all of a sudden now, you've got a couple guys that I'm all right that if they're not playing, but then there's a couple guys that I wish could be playing. But this is now an opportunity for other guys. And that's what this is all about, because that's how you find out about the other players on this team, the depth on this team, what kind of depth you have. And Solomon Kinley has to be looking at this like a junkyard dog. But don't panic, folks. Don't panic. That's not what this is about. You have a coach that got tested ultimately in that first year where they tore that team down, and yet he found a way, even with no names, to get better as the year went on. That's the cool part too, because this is also a nice test for Flo to figure out what else he has on this team and get a feel for all of this. This is not a bad thing. It's part of the process. If we're going to sit here and hope or I'm sorry, not hope, expect, of course we hope, but expect everybody to be healthy. That's impossible practically in football. You're going to have your share of injuries. Guys are going to get nicked up. Look at Eichenberg. He nicks up the shoulder. Now he's out. So now you got to, take care of him a little bit. Now this gives opportunities to other guys. The Coleman kid now will get more opportunities. Let's find out. You might have a diamond in the rough out there that's waiting to get an opportunity. And to that, I would say I welcome it as a Dolphins fan. Look, we got to get to the point where we're looking kind of like what we do with the Heat Summer League. We're always intrigued with the Heat Summer League now every year because the freaking Heat know how to find players where nobody else does. It's not just about the draft anymore. It's about what happens in street free agency, guys that are undrafted, young guys that have maybe been floating around for a year or two in summer leagues and different teams and overseas and all that, and they're still developing. And yet the Heat find out, and that's why we all now turn on summer league out of intrigue, turn on the Dolphins preseason out of intrigue, because we might find the next, who knows, Van Ginkel, right? The next Nick Needham. All that kind of stuff that happens here with this team now. We've watched it now even in the first couple of years. So let's find out tomorrow against the Bears. Maybe there's a diamond in the rough that we walk away from going, hey, man, that's pretty cool. Maybe Jared Dokes, who, dropped a few passes yesterday. Maybe all of a sudden the lights go on. The kid's going to probably play a lot in the second half of the game tomorrow, right? You would figure he's going to get playing time a lot in the second half of these preseason games. Maybe the lights go on and the kid goes out there and shines. And all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute. There is something here with Jared Dokes. So let's, this is not a time to panic and worry about it, because I had a couple people on Twitter, oh, man, we got all these injuries. It's all right, man. Don't worry about it. They got 87 receivers, okay? You got 40 of them out. You got another 40. You'll be fine. And this is a nice test for 202. This is a great opportunity for Matt Collins. Matt Collins is something that Albert Wilson isn't, is something that Devontae Parker isn't. Durable and a two-way player. So not only does he stay on the field as a receiver for you, he helps you out on special teams. And apparently he was tearing it up against the Bears in practice. They couldn't cover his ass. You know what? Maybe Matt Collins is developing into a really good receiver. Anybody ever thought about that? And so tomorrow, I'm excited to see if Matt Collins, maybe he's ready to take another step that we don't expect. You just never know. Maybe Jesse Davis, and I know he's also dealing with a little bit of an injury too, but maybe Jesse Davis this year continues his growth, and instead of me looking at him like a sixth man, the modern day Andrew Gardner, right? That was the name of the guy, right? A few years back, like 10, 15 years ago, that they used him all over the place, right? I think it was Andrew Gardner. Anyway, use a guy like that. Okay. Maybe that's what he is. Or maybe all of a sudden he's a late bloomer and he puts together one hell of a year and starts terrific at right tackle. No, do not panic. I keep telling you this, enjoy the ride. Because you got a front office, you got a coaching staff, you got a team that's improving. Enjoy the ride. And it'll be fun tomorrow to watch the Dolphins take on the Bears. I'm looking forward to it.